In nature's science, nobility means people that are highest in mental quality, ethics, and blood lineage by nature, and that they qualify by nature for nature's protection and guidance, automatically and naturally. Nobility is elite people of nature, those chosen or born by nature to lead and be typical models for other people. Let it be remembered always and let it be known.
The very first generation had to learn Christianity. You understand? Because they need that spiritual uprooting of your mind. They knew what was next.
Oh, yeah.
They knew that Burkina Faso was an Islamic nation. So they said, okay, let's send in an Islamic leader to put them back to sleep. That's like you know, when you watch the movie Get Out and the lady had the teacup.
Yes, stirring it.
And every time she was stirring the teacup and then slammed the teacup, he went down into the I forgot what it was called, but he went to sleep. So that's what they doing with religion. Religion is like stirring the cup and putting you back to sleep.
The sunken place sibling.
There you go, putting you in a sunken place, and the sunken place just means you just being out of your mind. You not being able to think for yourself and reason in a proper way. So when we would talk, when Tarnoon was talking about somebody being brought in for a specific purpose in a particular cycle, that's what we're talking about. You see, he, just like many others that were real leaders, they would put their race before their religion. That's what this is really about. Honestly, tell you the truth, it's really about race before religion, because your race is the reason why they hate you and the reason why they need to put you where you're at. Your race, the mere fact that you produce kinky hair tells you the type of chemicals that created you.
Come on.
So they know. You think these scientists don't know? They got to keep it a secret. They have to keep it a secret, but the reason why they have to keep it a secret is because they don't want you to know the type of power that you hold. And we're not just talking about in a magical kind of way, a magic power where it's like, oh, you know, this person could, because that's what they're going to start hating you with. Oh, what kind of magic powers do you have? No, it's not about magic powers. It's about reasoning powers.
Yeah.
Right?
That neuromelanin sibling.
There you go. That the mere fact that you're able to reach a level of reasonability that they can't reach. You know, Noon teaches us that they're only able to reach a certain reasonability level. And that's why they created AI and things like that in order to catch up to us. Because AI is the only thing that will be able to catch up in a reasonable fashion when it comes to us. But we still have to program the AI in order for it to even reason on the kind of level that we're on. And we figured that out a couple of days ago, that, you know, even though you can match the AI to what you're following, we still got to correct the AI in many different ways. You know, so the AI is a amazing tool as far as if you want to, you know, at the same time, that information has to be reasonable in order for the AI to move in a reasonable direction. But I don't want to get too far away from that. I want to shift back the focus towards Traore. And one of the things that I was talking about was the whole religious aspect. That is huge for the people of Burkina Faso and Africa in general, because the spiritual aspect of it is what we're missing as a people. That the spiritual foundation is cracked and broken. Religion did that, you know, and it doesn't matter what religion we follow, it's going to leave a crack and a hole in your society. So once we are able to put spirituality back with economics, spirituality back with military,
yes,
spirituality back with all sorts of warfare, then we'll really understand, okay, this is how it's supposed to be done. So I put out a letter to a couple of branches of his government and also the surrounding governments. I hope that it reaches them, and I hope that they see in the letter that we need a way to support and also to protect ourselves as an African nation. That's the reason why we're not protected in many of these places, whether it be the United Kingdom, Britain, whether it be America. Whenever any type of injustice happens to an African person in any one of those places, there's no nation that comes to our aid. You know, so we need to support Traore and whatever African nation is able to say, hey, listen, come back home. We have a place for you to stay, a place for you to build. We have farming land where you can farm, you know, and we just want to assimilate you back into society until you get yourself back on your feet. You know, so that's, you know, essentially what I don't want to put too much of the details of the letter out, because, you know, AI is always watching. The Caucasian is watching. They probably read the letter even before it gets to him. But either which way, we just want to put that out there that, you know, we are willing to work with whatever government that's able to help uplift us in a positive way. You know, and that's why Traore needed to, you know, link up with Russia and a couple of these other nations that's against America, because America is all about exploitation. You know, many of these nations is all about exploitation, but the only nation that hasn't, and the nation of Caucasian that has never exploited the African, is Russia.
I posed that today. I posed that same question today. Was Russia involved? Did they put the imaginary lines to demark the various places within the continent of Africa? No, they didn't.
Right. They might have been part of the Berlin Conference, but at the same time, they never wished to enslave any African people in that kind of way or take advantage of them. Now, don't get me wrong, if you go to Russia as a black man and try to be a president in their nation, I don't think Russia would ever allow a black man to be a president. But we as Noonie Boos look at that as what we would call equal racism, right? You rule your nation, I'll rule my nation, right? And America doesn't allow that. America doesn't say you rule your nation, I rule. No, I want to rule your nation and rule my nation and make my nation more powerful. And that's the wrong way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Ibrahim is doing it the way that he's doing it, because Russia allows Ibrahim to rule his nation however he sees fit. There's no Russian. That's why he's sending, was it over 1,700 commandos over there to protect him and not to put him in a position where it's compromised. Yeah. Because if America sends 1,700 commandos, I guarantee 5 of them is looking to kill him. You understand what I'm saying?
We already know that.
Like, yeah, we'll protect you. We'll make sure. And then all of a sudden, a bullet to his head because they have other interests and they already got a leader lined up.
Exactly, to install him, to get them back onto the plan of this colonial mindset. Rape the people, have no care or compassion. Don't try and build any kind of infrastructure. Don't build and make a better life for the generations. Look after yourself and your wife. Get that foreign house in Italy and stuff, and let's export the money. We'll put it in, and you funnel it out into your own little private stuff, and we'll obviously get the little charges because you'll buy the trinkets from the designer companies. You'll have the Rolls Royces. So the money that we'll give you, you're still going to give us back. You know what I mean? But your people are still going to be in the same position.
Right. I mean, look at you. The exploitation that happened in from France to Burkina Faso, the exploitation been happening for ever since the 60s. But I mean before that, because they gained their independence in the 60s. But they still have a stronghold as far as the natural resources were concerned. So we talking about well over maybe 100 years of France eating and looting and polluting off of.
Let's get the details, sibling. I got it up. In
Oh, you got it.
I got
Okay.
it. 1896, it was colonized by the French as part of the French West Africa. In 1958, Upper Volta became a self-governing colony within the French community, and in 1960 gained full independence under Maurice Yamago.
Wow.
So this isn't like people again, because so many people and original people are so disconnected with history. They don't take into consideration the length of time these French colonial demons have been running amok. I mean,
Right.
look, King Leopold, did he even step foot in Africa? Huh?
Absolutely not.
And he had black Africans chopping the hands off of their own people.
Mm-hmm.
Failure to meet the rubber quotas and all the other foolishness and the wicked, terrible punishments that they would bring forth.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we can't allow that type of colonialism to attack Africa in that way again. So what's important though is that everybody gets the proper education when it comes to these type of matters. And the reason why I say that is because they understand the meaning of chopping the head of the snake off. You know what I'm saying? If you chop the head of the snake off, then the body will die, right? But we have to adopt a mindset of like the worm. You cut the worm, the other half of the worm is still living.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta squash the worm in order for the worm to die. You know what I'm saying? And we have to react in a sort of a way, sort of like that, where it's like, okay, if something happens to Ibrahim, then a bigger revolution will occur. We have to make them afraid to hurt one of us because it'll only make matters worse. But since the murdering of like Malcolm and even Martin, to a certain extent, Martin, Malcolm, the extradition of Marcus, and many different leaders that came about, Black Panther Party, Fred Hampton, when these leaders were cut short, right, for whatever reason, whether it be health or just assassination, usually the nation dies with it as well. But we need to make sure that we get to a place where they cut the head off, it gets stronger. Why? Because we're educating the youth on liberation, to understand that you must put your best foot forward for your nation. Yeah. It has to be for your race. You understand? And that's essentially where we come in at when it comes to Noon, is to just, teach race pride, because that's what Noon really taught me out of everything that I've learned. It's an amazing science, but it also taught me race pride. You know what I'm saying? It also taught me not to hate another race, because I don't hate another race. I hate what they do. There's a difference between there's a difference between hating what they do as opposed to hating them. I don't hate anyone, but I hate their actions. I hate the capitalist actions of these people. A lot of times people think too, this is just a branch off of what Tarnoon was saying about the equalism. A lot of times people think equalism is like communism. It's absolutely not. Because with communism, everybody has the same particular paycheck or whatever the case may be. We're not speaking about it on that particular level, because in a Noon, say in a hypothetical reality, in Noon, you can work for whatever paycheck you want to work for. You could be a millionaire in Noon if that's what your creations have brought you to. But what we're saying in Noon is that the people of the land that they are from, they benefit from the natural resources that are created there. So no government can hold the paperwork for gold in a country. No government can hold the paperwork for the uranium. No government can hold the paperwork for the avocados or the apples or any natural resource that comes from a nation, the people should be able to benefit from that, and the government is supposed to make sure that the people benefit from it.
Exactly. People first, right?
Correct. So we're not saying that it's communism where the government takes over the natural resources and then distribute the funds. No, the government is supposed to ensure that whatever is made off of the natural resources, that no company can come and say, we own this oil here, we own this gold here, we own it. And that's what we're witnessing right now. We're witnessing capitalism basically becoming a beast, because the African doesn't want you to take advantage of her anymore. So when we speak about equalism, we are speaking about the people as a whole benefiting off the natural resources. You understand? Not your creations, because you could build a electric car or electromagnetic car, like what I was hearing this guy do in Africa. You could build an electromagnetic car, but that doesn't mean that you should share your wealth of the electromagnetic car with the people of the nation. You don't have to do that. You understand? But the natural resources of a place should be spread amongst the people, because every nation in Africa has enough natural resources that it could help feed and family for generations.
Come on.
You know, but we've been taken advantage of, and that time has come to an hopefully it's coming to an end.
Exactly.
We're not there yet.
Yeah.
You know? That's what I wanted to, basically say about that. But they need the spiritual foundation. That's my message. Traore needs the spiritual foundation, or he will possibly meet the same fate as other African leaders have, because they didn't have that spiritual foundation they had the spiritual foundation, but it was only for the last cycle where they would just murder them and get away with it. This time around, we need people to stay alive, not be murdered. But that's all I have to say for now.
Yeah, I wanted to add real quick is to support what he said about if a person creates something that doesn't have to be grabs. I say up for grab, but why? Because although you can share everything from the planet, meaning people can come in and get a portion, but you can't do that with a person's natural intelligence or their ability to create or their talent. So
intellectual property.
You see what I'm saying? If I can create something with my hands out of wood, that doesn't mean out of this, let's say it's 100 people in this town, that doesn't mean they come in and get a piece of that. No, what I can do is out of the equality of the resources, I may say, okay, I'll sell this to you based out of what you have equally out, or however they wish to barter and trade.
Yes.
Because nobody is going to be born equally with the same type of skill sets and stuff. So that's what I always see. And they'll come up with a sentence like we do right now. Some people say, you know what? He know how to fix cars. I know how to do something else, and that'll be easy. That it might not have to be anything. It may just be time. Yes. You may say, you know what? I'm gonna give you this in exchange for this. It ain't probably got nothing to do with that, because we got equal stuff coming from the land. I don't need to really come to you and say, well, let me get a portion of that gold that you got. That'll make no sense, because that's gonna interrupt you, your present life, and the future of your generation, what they do to people now by keeping them away from resources. And long as you do that, or they give us paper while they got hard assets, you will never be to get nowhere. Because soon as they get mad with you, they can, like they did Kanye, they can cut your money off. We don't need to be at, nobody need to be in that. No government has to, because that's an attack on life.
Yes.
Just like rape, and because Noon says even though it's not murder, it's close to murder because you killed the inside of a person.
Indeed.
So when you're going at people's natural, ability or natural right to be born because they fought through the sperm against millions of others to win the right to be born. So then you got people on the outside who's going to intervene with that. Now you're making a threat to life. That's like you're trying to abort me in a different format. So that is a form of an attack on life, and that's why the government and Noon must make sure that the innocent and those who are weak are protected.
Yes.
With all parts of the law that's dealing with that. So this country and the rest don't do that. A person can kill somebody and you reward them with life. Oh, you got 25 to life. Why they ain't getting death?
Right.
You gave them death. You should get death. But they give you life. So this is how insane America is, and the spirit forces that control them, who made them create these laws. And most of these laws is Osiris, because Osiris is the god of death, and they say resurrection. And we know the only way he can stay alive is he have to have a constant flow of death going and bloodletting. So that's why the laws in America specifically, you can harm and kill, and most of the time you'll still be allowed to live, even if they put you on death row for 20 years and you eventually go. That's a form of resurrection, because you get a chance to get resurrected in the sense that you didn't die like you should have. They're gonna put you in another building, and you can either rot or you can resurrect through their programs and become a lawyer and all this stuff that people do that defy the odds in prison.
Yes.
So this is a form of modern day Osiris resurrection tactics, if I shall be so bold. But that's all I wanted to add. And also, they keep asking Troy and the other two guys, how long will they be in power before they give it back to the civilians? First thing, they not getting out of power by nature until after the cataclysm, because World War III is coming. And soon as World War III get to the point where mankind realize they can't stop Africa from rising, that's when they're gonna want to go and hit the atomic button. Right then is when the cataclysm is gonna come and interrupt all those plans. So that's already been done. Now, the other thing is democracy is a game, because the civilians don't supposed to be in power in the first place. In ancient times, the pharaoh and the king, and he was a pharaoh, a king, a ruler, a priest, and a demigod.
Yep.
And he was a warrior, because the pharaoh and the rest of those kings you see in the movies, they jump out there on the horse or whatever they had, and they got busy with the men that was going to war. And he had a son or 3 sons left behind. If he don't come back, the succession was already there. So what
that goes to show you what I was saying about when you cutting the head of the snake. Just know there's more coming.
Right. And that's what they show you in those movies. If you watch a lot of his movies with the kings and all that, and they have that. So when you got that going on, you have this thing. Again, democracy is a trick, because it makes the people think they have power in this day and time. And you want to give it back to the civilians, but that's because they remove the powers of the one ruler. See, everything y'all seeing, the military, the politician, the priest, all that stuff, the ruler in ancient times, they call it a theocracy, the Caucasian do. But in ancient times, that one ruler had all those things into one. And that's why when it was very important not to kill that individual, because all of the knowledge and the leadership, and plus them being chosen by a spirit, also made it divine. So a lot of these dudes are still doing the same thing today. Whether people know it or not, whoever went into the White House was possessed, like Anoop said, a spirit God was there incarnate in that individual to do whatever they needed to do every 4 years. But in ancient times, like if you look at the Turin's Kings list, you had years and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, even in the Sumerian Kings list, where these rulers lived for hundreds of years, thousands ruling. So now, modern times, they just chopped it up because the Caucasian didn't get 6,000 years to rule. He only really got about 2,500 years.
Come on.
If you count from Greece all the way up to now, about 25 some years. The first 4,000 years was nature transitioning rulers from pantheism into monotheism. And so they didn't get a chance to rule the full 6. And because the time is so short, and then Ghost God being able to turn into the Super Saiyan in the last 2,000 years, they couldn't allow the Caucasian to rule the full 6. It wouldn't be no smack circle at the end if they was given 6,000 years to run with how their nature is. Like right now, they all got nuclear weapons. And even Russia, when they kept pushing him, he was threatening to hit the button. That show you that their mind don't know how to handle opposition for a long time. So I'm telling you that to set the preface for Africa. Imagine Putin was really ready to hit the nuclear bomb on Ukraine.
Yeah.
And they right there.
Yes.
Now imagine Africa, when most of the world hate Africa because we different, right? Our origin is different. Nature teaches that, Noon tells us that. So imagine you've been pimping and beating this race down just from over there from the late 1800s. We ain't gonna count all over here. Y'all been living it up. And all of a sudden, some black kinky haired man pop up with 2 grandpas with him and say, hell no. You already know France and them is over there ready to go all the way out. They rather crash out the whole planet than to take this no and this whooping. So I'm telling you, that's where it's going. And our people over here need to wake up, because once these countries start banging out, they're gonna trap everybody off in this country. You ain't gonna be the fly and go nowhere. And they're gonna attack black people here as a scapegoat, because the 9-ball and the BIE teaches us that the black race is a scapegoat adjusting tool for whatever goes wrong in the Caucasian society. So that means over here, France, Ukraine, wherever we was at, even in Ukraine, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna step out the way. When Ukraine was getting bombed by Putin, they would not let blacks get on trains to escape. They had nothing to do with it. You was getting attacked by another white man, which is the same, your brother, because Ukraine is part of Russia.
Yes.
So y'all was getting killed by your own brethren.
Yes.
Africans was trying to just get out. They would not let them get on trains to escape. They had to leave on foot. That's how much hatred they got to you. They rather still show you hate and race, one side of racism, while they getting killed. They said, no, nigga, no, nigga, no. So
you gotta die with me.
Yeah, you're coming with me. And you see that again. Thank you, Tar, for bringing that up, because did you see the lamestream media promote anything about that? Or were they quiet like church masses as original people were fleeing and were scared and were being trapped and being, no. If you can just step aside, there's someone with pale skin that needs to come by and get on this train. Right. You are not leaving. You stay where you are. Yeah, man. Look. They show us. They telling. These devils is telling. You know what I mean? Constantly. Now we spoke about the biodiversity of Burkina Faso, the gold, the magnesium, the copper. Let's not forget the limestone. Let's not forget the ingenuity and the talents which are, at the moment, totally untapped. We don't know what kind of knowledge and technology can be brought forth from this little nation. So watch the space. Watch how they make a fair exchange, which isn't it a limited amount of time where Russia's got rights to the gold? Is it like a 7-year period or something like that?
8 years.
8 years. Okay. All right. So that's a fair exchange, right? As Tar said, or was it you and 100+ years rights to minerals and stuff? Or what are we talking about?
Look at this right here. This is the resources. Gold is a major gold producer in Africa with significant gold deposit in various regions of the country. Manganese is a significant reserves of manganese, primarily in the northern region, which is used in steel production and other industrial applications. Zinc, phosphate, which is used in the manufacturing of fertilizers and other chemicals. They say they got copper, lead, nickel, silver, like you said, limestone, arable land, which is suitable for cultivating various crops: cotton, sorghum, maize, millet, cowpea, peanuts, rice, shea nuts, sesame, sugarcane. Oh, yo, I didn't know until I watched the interview. They make shea butter.
Yes.
Shea butter.
It's nuts. It's not, and again, until you do the knowledge and you start to it's from there. And a lot of these again, look, you got these weirdos gluing themselves to flipping the roads, stop the oil, let's get the electric cars and all that thing. Look, the world's gonna end. Hey, noon science don't mean nothing, boss, because the world is gonna end. We need to stop the oil. Let's get these electric cars. Let's boost the on the spectrum, Mr. Tesla man himself. Let's boost his ego up and his shares up. And let's all drive around in the little Tesla things, or let's prop up China and let's get their interesting models, which are very high tech, but not put together with the greatest of care, should we say? Because if he was to do a rudimentary check on some of the incidents that are happening with these wonderful, cheap electric vehicles, we're seeing lots of problems, man. We're seeing issues. We're seeing things that are taking place that should not be taking place, but we're being pushed towards it. And then we're like, okay, so electric cars, okay, they're the flex now. They're the flex. Where do we get the electricity from? See, like one add one, right? People come up with 12 and 15 and all kind of stuff. It's a basic equation. Electricity doesn't come out of the air like Nikolai Tesla had outside of his home.